Hello, it's Sheena Douglas here again, and what you're looking at is a cute little image, not my usual image, I have to admit. It's one of the S.W.A.L.K little Pawfect pals images, and I think I was drawn to do it because of the doggy contingency in our house. And I will have you know that I've also painted a cat, so it keeps the cats happy as well. But what I want to show you is how I would use H2Os. You've probably seen me use H2Os a lot for funky backgrounds and using salt and distress techniques and all kinds of, you know, really just being free with the colour for backgrounds. But what I want to show you is a little bit more detail work and how I coloured in this image here. I've actually, if you look closely, I've actually used it all sorted on a piece of brown card in the background, which was really easy. So that's what I want to show you. Now I want to tell you about something I'm very excited about before we start, and it's this here. Oh, I can't tell you how excited I was and how impatient I've been to get them in the country, because for about 8 years now I've been using H2Os, these little doodahs here, gorgeous little pots of intense colour, no fillers, just pigment, binder, and to give it the twinkle, mica. Top quality mica in these as well. But the problem I've had in the past is, how do you store the little jars? So I've stuck them to tiles, I've stuck them to CDs, I've done all kinds of things. But as you can see, this is a made for H2Os palette. I can pop the little tiny twinks in, but also the grand jars as well. And I can just keep changing it to the palette I'm working with, which I love. And the one you're looking at the minute is Ultimate Romance. It's a set of 12. And it's a great one. If you're going to buy just one set of H2Os, get this one. It's got, you can virtually paint anything with this set. So that's Ultimate Romance. Mixing palette in the middle, I'm good to go. So let's get started. So I've got my digi image already printed out here, and it's actually printed onto the matte side of some Centura Pearl. I really like working on this side. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to colour is, I think I'm going to colour a large, actually no, I'm going to colour the face. This is a good little tip for you here. I'll pop that to one side, because the thing is skin tones are usually the trickiest thing to do. So maybe in the wimp I am, I like to start with skin tones, and that means if it's not right, I haven't painted the whole thing and I'm not going to be bitter and twisted, that I have to start again. I just need to start off with a bit of card. Now, before I've started, I've spritzed my H2Os with some water, or you can just take a brush and literally just drop water onto them like this. But the need to do that for about 5 minutes before you want to play, because if you don't, you won't be getting any colour off them. They'll just not release the colour. It's that intense and concentrated. So first thing to do, I can see I've got 2 browns in here. I always like to start with a kind of a brown base tone for my skin tone. The good thing is as well is I've got a light, oh, of course I've got yellow in this now. If you get some colour you don't want on there, just wet it a little bit and then get a bit of kitchen paper and blot it off. It happens to all of us. If you've got some colour in your brush and you don't want to contaminate your pale colour, just do that and wipe it off. Right, so what I'm going to do, first of all, before I do anything, is establish which of these 2 browns is going to be the best for my skin tone. You really need to smush them up, because if you don't, you'll just be getting part of the colour. So I'm going to pop a little bit there. And then I'm going to pop a little bit of this one in this palette. And what I need to do, just to make sure before I do anything else and start mixing colours in with them, is I'm going to lighten them and lighten them and lighten them so they're really, really pale. See almost all this water in there. Now straight away I think I'm favouring one over the other. Can you see this one here? I'm going to show you what I mean. This one here looks quite a warm tone. Probably put a little bit too much water in, put a little more in. Quite a warm tone if I put it on there. I'm almost there with the skin tone. Actually I'm looking pretty good already. And this one, let's put a little bit more colour in, is quite cool. It's got kind of a greeny cast. Now that could be the mica that's in there, because it isn't just all one standard mica in H2Os. You could have a red with a blue mica, you could have a red with a gold mica. This is looking pretty good. You know what? I think we would get away with this without doing anything to it. Seriously? Skin tone? I've been mixing and mixing in the past. What was I thinking? This is going to do. This one there. Right. The next thing we'll add to it is a little bit of a flesh colour, but that's what I'm going to work on for my skin tone. So let's get the little kiddo here, and I'm going to take some of that colour and I want to have always a piece of kitchen paper next to me so that I can blot the excess paint, so I'm not going to flood. You're going to be surprised at how little you need on your brush moisture you need to be able to be in control. You really need to be working with an almost a dry brush, really. Now if you look and you go, right, okay, I like that, but he's looking a little bit on the yellowy side, is a little bit sallow looking. There's a red in the set that we could just warm that up a little bit with, and we could just, let's try that, just go over it a little bit, maybe around the hairline, around here, and then we can just blend that in with the brush, and it should warm him up. Yeah, that's cool, that's better. See how he's got a warmer tint there. Now the thing is what I need to do is I need to darken around the hairline, because the hair is going to cast a shadow. I want to give him a little bit of a blush here on his cheeks and just darken around the outside of his face. So all I'm going to do is probably just use a darker version of what I've just done, and we'll just go ahead and just add a little bit more. You can always go little bits at a time. You can always put more on of whatever you're using, but it's really difficult to lift the colour off. So a little bit at a time is better. And then you can see as well, I'm using a Paint Fusion paintbrush here, which is a quite large paintbrush. You would think for detail work, but if it's a good brush, you're going to get a point like that. So it doesn't matter that it's a larger brush. Right, I'm going to be a bit brave here. I've got quite a strong red here, a little bit there on his little cheeks. And then I'm just going to take, dry my brush, wet it, dry off the colour, and then little circles to blend it in. It's kind of like when you're doing your own little blush there. Same thing, just blend it, and that'll do there. I still want to go a little bit darker on the hairline. I might use a bit of that, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, same brown in the palette, but there's a bluey purple in there. Don't be scared to add a little bit of that to cool the colour down. If you want shadows, and go with blue or a purple colour. See how now we've got that shadow around where the hair's going to be? Much better. Okay, I'm happy with that. Yay! Face is done. Oh, I forgot about his hands. Okay. Hands. I can barely see those ones, but I'm just going to put a tiny little bit there. Let's look a little bit healthier. There you go. See how you can just literally lift little bits of puddles of paint up with it if you dry your brush first. Let's do the hair. Okay, we've got those two colours again. We had that cooler brown and we had the warmer brown. I'm just trying to hope you can see this, but this is the warmer brown and I quite like that. So what I'm going to do is just stick with that and go over lightly over his hair. Having said that, I don't want it to look exactly the same colour as his face. So you can take that colour and you can cool it down with a little bit of blue or purple. There's a really nice purple in this set, and it'll make it more of a chocolatey, darker, cooler brown. Can you see? Be careful, you don't want it on the purple side, you still want it to be brown. He's not a little alien. And then we'll just add a little bit thicker. So put a little bit more paint in, and a little bit more of that. Right. Now another little thing that we want to be aware of here is this card is still wet. So what I'm doing when I'm painting, the wet is blended, is moving into the other wet area on the card. So really I want to wait to do that and come back to it later and darken the hair. If I forget, you'll have to remind me, because you see what will happen is it's wicking down into his face. Now, oh actually I forgot to put the heat tool on. This is what I would do in between. Oh, it's not plugged in. If I wanted to speed this up, I would just use the heat tool and then continue, but we'll leave it for a little minute. Now, the dog. Let's have a look and see what colour we're going to do him. I don't want to do him exactly the same shade as the little kid, because then it's just going to be all that same brown. So let's see if we can work with this one. Kind of a retriever colour. That looks alright. See this other yellowy, greeny, cooler brown? Let me see. Test it out on a piece of card if you're not sure. Right, that looks alright, but I think I'm going to add a little bit of, there's a really dark brown in the set that will work great for that. Just to Yeah, I like that better. I like that cooler, kind of more neutral colour for the dog. So I'll just add a bit more of that same tone there. A bit more of that dark brown. And that's going to do. Now what I'm going to do is just do a wash over the whole thing. So right. That should do it. So what I've done, it just makes it easier as well. If you map out where the dog goes and then you can see everything, it just makes it easier to see before you start working on the dark bits. Now, if you look in the palette, I've got a dark colour here, dark brown. I'm going to use that to contour the dog. It's going to be much easier. I might use a little bit of this tan as well in it, but this is where I'm going to go with the darker tones. I will show you. So in here, it's going to be really dark in this area. So I'm going to go in like that. Okay. I'm not worried so at the minute because that looks really, really dark. I'm just going to clean my brush. I'm just going to drag some of that colour out, little circular movements. And if you want to just lighten that, see, I just want to bring it back, that highlight, I can just, while it's still fresh on there, just use a little bit of water, a tiny little bit of water, and just blend the colour around. I'm just moving the paint around here, just so, because I didn't want a hard line, and I wanted to put the softer, smoother highlight back, see? Once you get used, if you've got a decent paintbrush, first, I should have mentioned that, if you haven't got a decent brush, don't even try this because you're going to hide into nothing. If you can't get a really nice fine point like that, I mean, this is just a, you know, inexpensive synthetic paintbrush, but it's a decent one. It's held its shape. That's what the important thing is. You don't have to pay £25 a paintbrush. You just need someone like me to source the bargains for you. Right, now see, I still want to, I didn't want that to go up there, I wanted that to be darker, but I still want the top of his paw to be lighter. I'm just going to pull some of this paint down here. And I'm going to put a little bit more of that darker in between his little, I don't know, there wouldn't be toes really, would they? Do they have toes? Well, I would have got something that looks like toes, if you call them that, the pads. Russell's going to have a great time editing this video down. I promised I wouldn't talk all the time to make it easier. Sucker. I lied. This might be like Downton Abbey, you might be getting in about 8 episodes. Or if I guest star Maggie Smith or something. Then you'd sit up and listen, wouldn't you? So see, I've put the lines where I want them, then I'm going back over with the brush and just almost dry, but just circular movements, and it's blending in the colour. So you've got the contouring without being too, you know, having to make it too difficult. And you know what, you can see the sparkle here. Even though I've watered these down such a lot, you can still see all the mica twinkling. And that again is a sign of a good quality product, because it will stand to be diluted a lot, but not lose the little glint. You don't want full on, you know, in your face showbiz glitter on it, but you just want that little nice pretty reflection. It's so pretty.